Take a deep breath for a moment. Release the tension in your body. Let go of the need to figure everything out. And consider this possibility. What if the thing you have been praying for, visualizing, and imagining is closer than you think? What if the only thing standing between you and your desire is not time, circumstances, or other people, but your inability to relax into the feeling that it is already yours? Most people spend their lives chasing. They chase success, love, money, recognition, and happiness. They believe that once they finally get what they want, then they will feel secure. Then they will feel grateful. Then they will feel fulfilled. But what if they have it backwards? What if fulfillment comes first? What if the feeling is not the result of the manifestation, but the cause of it? Think about how much energy is wasted on worrying, doubting, checking for results, and wondering when things will happen. Every day, countless people delay their happiness until some future event arrives. They live in a state of waiting, believing that life will begin when their circumstances change. But the truth is that life begins the moment you change your state. The moment you stop chasing and start becoming. The moment you stop forcing and start allowing. The moment you stop looking at what is missing and start feeling the reality of what you desire. Today, we are going to explore a powerful truth that receiving is not something you struggle to achieve. It is something you relax into. We will discover why feeling is the true key to transformation, why effort often creates resistance, why trust is more powerful than control, and why the version of you who already has your desire holds the secret to receiving it. Because the reality you have imagined may be much closer than it appears. And when you learn to relax into the feeling of already having it, you may discover that what you have been seeking has been moving toward you all along. So open your mind, open your heart, and allow yourself to enter a new possibility. A possibility where you no longer chase your dreams, a possibility where you become them. Because the moment you truly relax into the feeling, you become ready to receive what you have imagined. If there is one principle that has the power to transform the way you approach your dreams, your goals, and your entire life, it is this: feeling is the secret to receiving. Most people believe that what they want is something external. They think they need more money, a better relationship, a new opportunity, improved health, or greater success. They spend years trying to change circumstances, hoping that once the outer world changes, they will finally feel fulfilled. But the deeper truth is that every desire is connected to a feeling. What people truly seek is not merely the thing itself, but the emotional experience they believe that thing will bring. Consider this for a moment. Why does someone want wealth? Usually, it is not because of the numbers in a bank account. It is because they expect wealth to bring freedom, security, confidence, or peace of mind. Why does someone desire a loving relationship? It is because they expect it to bring connection, joy, acceptance, and companionship. Why does someone pursue success? It is because they believe it will bring significance, achievement, and fulfillment. In every case, the thing desired is linked to a feeling. Yet most people make a critical mistake. They postpone the feeling until after the result appears. They tell themselves, when I get the money, then I will feel secure. When I find the relationship, then I will feel loved. When I achieve the goal, then I will feel fulfilled. In doing so, they place the feeling in the future and continue living in a state of lack in the present. The secret is to reverse that process. Instead of waiting for the feeling to come after the manifestation, allow the feeling to come before it. This changes everything. When you consciously enter the feeling associated with your fulfilled desire, you begin shifting your state of consciousness. You stop identifying with the version of yourself who is waiting, hoping, and lacking. Instead, you begin identifying with the version of yourself who already possesses the quality you seek. Imagine someone who desires financial abundance. If they constantly worry about money, complain about lack, and focus on limitations, they are emotionally rehearsing scarcity. Their attention remains fixed on what is missing. But if they begin cultivating feelings of gratitude, confidence, and sufficiency, something changes. Even before circumstances improve, they begin experiencing life from a different state. The same is true for every desire. The feeling is not merely an emotional reaction. The feeling is a state of being, and states of being influence perception, behavior, and experience. Think about how differently you see the world when you feel confident compared to when you feel insecure. Opportunities appear different. Challenges feel different. Interactions with people change. The world itself may not have changed, but your experience of it has. This is why feeling matters so much. The feeling impresses the deeper levels of consciousness. Repeated thoughts may create mental images, but feelings give those images power and vitality. The deeper mind responds strongly to emotional conviction. When an idea is accompanied by genuine feeling, it becomes more than a thought. It begins to feel real. That is why simply repeating affirmations without emotion often produces little change. Words alone are not enough. The words must be supported by feeling. Gratitude must be felt. Relief must be felt. Confidence must be felt. Fulfillment must be felt. The goal is not to force emotion. It is to gently enter the emotional atmosphere of your desired reality. Imagine how you would feel if your wish were already fulfilled. Then allow yourself to experience that feeling now. Feel the relief of knowing everything worked out. Feel the gratitude of receiving what you desired. Feel the peace of no longer worrying. Feel the joy of accomplishment. As these feelings become familiar, they begin influencing your identity. You stop living as someone waiting for life to improve and begin living as someone who already carries the essence of what they seek. This is where true transformation begins, not in the outer world first, but within, because what becomes natural within you eventually shapes how you interact with the world around you. So stop waiting for circumstances to grant you permission to feel fulfilled. Do not postpone peace. Do not postpone gratitude. Do not postpone confidence. Choose them now. Enter them now. Live from them now. Because the feeling is not the reward at the end of the journey. The feeling is the path itself. And when you learn to relax into the feeling of already having what you desire, you become receptive to experiences that reflect that state. The feeling is the secret. The feeling is the bridge. And the feeling is often the very thing that prepares you to receive what you have imagined. One of the greatest obstacles to receiving what you desire is the belief that you must personally force it into existence. Many people spend years struggling, pushing, worrying, and trying to control every detail of their lives. They believe that if they think about their desire often enough, work hard enough, analyze every possibility, and remain constantly alert, they can somehow guarantee the outcome they want. Yet, despite all their effort, they often find themselves exhausted, frustrated, and discouraged. Why? Because there is a profound difference between inspired action and forced effort. Inspired action flows naturally from confidence and clarity. Forced effort comes from fear and uncertainty. One is rooted in trust. The other is rooted in the belief that everything depends on your constant struggle. When you feel responsible for making every piece of life fit together perfectly, you create enormous pressure. You carry your desires like heavy burdens instead of joyful possibilities. Think about how often people become consumed by a goal. They wake up thinking about it. They spend the day worrying about it. They go to sleep wondering when it will happen. Every conversation, every decision, and every emotion becomes connected to that single outcome. Instead of enjoying life, they become trapped in a state of waiting. The hidden problem is that this constant effort often reinforces the feeling of lack. Every time you anxiously check for results, you remind yourself that you do not yet see them. Every time you obsess over timing, you reinforce the belief that what you want is still absent. Every time you worry about whether something will happen, you strengthen the feeling of uncertainty. Without realizing it, you remain emotionally connected to the very condition you wish to escape. Imagine planting a seed in fertile soil. Once the seed is planted, its growth depends on natural processes. You can water it and care for it, but you cannot force it to grow faster by digging it up every day. In fact, constantly disturbing it would prevent its development. Yet many people treat their desires exactly this way. They plant an intention, then immediately begin digging it up with doubt, fear, and impatience. They want instant evidence. They want guarantees. They want complete control over the process. But growth does not respond well to force. Life often unfolds through timing, circumstances, and opportunities that cannot be predicted in advance. Some of the most meaningful events happen unexpectedly. A chance meeting changes your future. An idea arrives at the perfect moment. An opportunity appears from a source you never anticipated. These experiences are difficult to plan because they arise from possibilities beyond your current awareness. This is why letting go of excessive control is so important. When you stop trying to make everything happen, you create space for life to move. You become more receptive. You become more relaxed. You become more available to unexpected solutions. This does not mean becoming passive or doing nothing. It means changing the energy behind your actions. You still pursue your goals. You still make decisions. You still take steps forward. But your actions come from confidence rather than desperation. They come from trust rather than fear. A person acting from trust feels different internally. They are not constantly measuring progress. They are not panicking over delays. They are not interpreting every obstacle as failure. They understand that temporary appearances do not define the final outcome. Because of this, they remain calm. They remain focused. They remain open. And this openness is powerful. When your mind is not consumed by worry, you think more clearly. When you are not overwhelmed by fear, you make better decisions. When you stop forcing outcomes, you begin noticing opportunities that anxiety may have hidden from view. Many people discover something surprising when they finally relax. The opportunities they were chasing begin appearing more naturally. The answers they desperately sought become clearer. The solutions arrive when they stop trying to control every detail. This is not because they stopped caring. It is because they stopped resisting. The tension dissolved, the pressure eased, the struggle ended, and life had room to move again. So if you have been carrying a desire with stress and urgency, take a moment to step back. Ask yourself, am I acting from trust or from fear? Am I moving forward with confidence or with desperation? Am I allowing life to unfold or am I trying to force every outcome? The answers to these questions reveal the state from which you are living. Remember, receiving does not come from endless strain. It comes from alignment. It comes from clarity. It comes from inner acceptance. Keep your vision. Keep your faith. Keep taking inspired action. But release the pressure. Release the obsession. Release the need to control every step. Because the moment you stop trying to make it happen is often the moment you become open to receiving it. And sometimes the greatest breakthroughs occur not when you push harder, but when you finally relax and allow life to work with you instead of against you. One of the most transformative ideas you can embrace is the ability to live in the emotional reality of your wish fulfilled. Most people spend their lives emotionally reacting to current circumstances. If conditions are favorable, they feel happy. If circumstances become challenging, they feel discouraged. Their emotional state depends almost entirely on what is happening around them. As a result, they remain trapped in a cycle where the outer world controls the inner world. But there is another way to live. Instead of allowing present circumstances to dictate how you feel, you can consciously choose the emotional state that would naturally exist if your desire were already fulfilled. This is not about pretending. It is not about denying facts or ignoring reality. It is about recognizing that your inner state has creative power and that you can begin experiencing the essence of your desired reality before physical evidence appears. Think about a goal that means a great deal to you. Perhaps it is financial freedom, a loving relationship, improved health, a successful business, or a long awaited opportunity. Now ask yourself a simple question. If this desire were already fulfilled, how would I feel? Would you feel relieved? Would you feel grateful? Would you feel confident? Would you feel secure? Would you feel joyful? These emotions are important because they reveal the true experience you seek. Most people believe they want the object, condition, or circumstance. Yet what they truly desire is the feeling they expect it to produce. A person does not seek wealth merely for money itself. They seek the freedom, security, and confidence they believe wealth will bring. A person does not seek love merely for companionship. They seek connection, acceptance, and emotional fulfillment. A person does not seek success merely for achievement. They seek the satisfaction, pride, and sense of purpose associated with it. The feeling is the essence. And if the feeling is the essence, why wait? Why postpone gratitude until circumstances change? Why postpone peace until a goal is reached? Why postpone confidence until external validation arrives? The power lies in experiencing those emotions now. When you enter the emotional reality of the wish fulfilled, you stop living as someone who is waiting. You stop identifying with lack. You stop reinforcing the idea that something important is missing from your life. Instead, you begin embodying the state of the person who already has what they desire. This shift is subtle but profound. Imagine two people pursuing the same goal. One constantly worries about whether it will happen. They check for signs, doubt themselves, and fear disappointment. Their emotional state is dominated by uncertainty. The other person also has the goal, but they spend time cultivating the feeling of fulfillment. They imagine success. They feel gratitude in advance. They carry confidence even before results appear. Their emotional state is aligned with completion rather than lack. Which person is likely to experience greater peace, clarity, and resilience? The answer is obvious. The second person is living from the emotional reality they desire rather than merely thinking about it. This practice is especially powerful before sleep. As the body relaxes and the mind becomes receptive, imagine a simple scene that implies your desire has already been fulfilled. It does not need to be dramatic. It could be a conversation, a moment of celebration, or a quiet feeling of gratitude. The key is not the complexity of the scene, but the reality of the emotion. Feel the relief, feel the satisfaction, feel the joy, feel the gratitude. Allow those emotions to become natural. The more often you experience them, the more familiar they become. And what becomes familiar begins to feel normal. What feels normal begins influencing your expectations. What influences your expectations begins shaping your experience. Over time, you stop reacting to life as the person who lacks. You begin responding as the person who already possesses the qualities, confidence, and fulfillment associated with the desired outcome. This changes everything. You make decisions differently. You notice opportunities differently. You carry yourself differently. You stop chasing feelings in the future because you have learned to generate them in the present. And this is where true transformation begins. Not when circumstances finally change, but when your state changes. So tonight and every day moving forward, stop asking yourself what is missing. Instead, ask yourself, how would I feel if my wish were already fulfilled? Then enter that feeling, live from that feeling, breathe from that feeling, think from that feeling, act from that feeling. Because when you consistently live in the emotional reality of the wish fulfilled, you stop waiting for life to make you whole. You discover that wholeness was available all along. And from that state of fulfillment, you become naturally aligned with the experiences that reflect it. One of the most difficult lessons for people to learn is how to trust what they cannot yet see. The human mind naturally wants proof. It wants visible evidence, immediate results, and clear signs that progress is being made. When those signs are absent, doubt often appears. Questions begin to arise. Is this working? Am I doing it correctly? Why hasn't anything changed yet? These questions are understandable, but they often reveal a deeper issue, a lack of trust in the unseen process. Most people have been conditioned to believe only in what their senses can confirm. If they cannot see movement, they assume nothing is happening. If circumstances have not changed, they conclude that progress has stopped. But some of the most important transformations in life occur beneath the surface, long before they become visible. Think about a seed planted deep in the ground. The moment it enters the soil, a process begins. Yet for days or even weeks, there may be no visible evidence above the surface. If someone judged only by appearances, they might assume the seed is inactive. But beneath the soil, roots are spreading. Growth is taking place. Life is developing in hidden ways. The same principle applies to inner transformation. Whenever you adopt a new state of consciousness, accept a new assumption, or begin living from a new feeling, something begins changing within you. It may not be visible immediately. The outer world may appear unchanged. Yet beneath the surface, new patterns are forming. New beliefs are taking root. New expectations are replacing old limitations. This process requires patience. Unfortunately, many people interrupt it by constantly checking for results. They look for proof every day. They examine every circumstance for signs. They become discouraged by temporary setbacks and conclude that nothing is happening. In doing so, they create a cycle of uncertainty. Imagine planting a seed and then digging it up every morning to see if it has grown. The very act of checking would disturb the process. Yet this is what happens mentally when people repeatedly question whether their desired outcome is developing. Trust means leaving the seed in the ground. Trust means allowing growth to occur without constant interference. Trust means believing that unseen movement can be just as real as visible movement. This is not blind faith. It is a recognition that life often develops in stages that are not immediately apparent. Consider how many important things in life require unseen preparation. A building needs a foundation before it rises. A tree develops roots before it reaches upward. A skill requires practice before mastery appears. In every case, there is a period when progress exists but is not yet obvious. The same is true of personal transformation. You may not immediately see dramatic changes in your circumstances, but that does not mean nothing is happening. Perhaps your mindset is becoming stronger. Perhaps your confidence is increasing. Perhaps opportunities are quietly aligning. Perhaps the path is being prepared in ways you cannot yet perceive. Trust allows you to remain steady during this period. Without trust, every delay feels threatening. Without trust, every obstacle feels permanent. Without trust, every challenge becomes evidence that your goal is impossible. But when trust is present, you view circumstances differently. You understand that temporary appearances do not define the final outcome. You understand that growth can be occurring even when you cannot see it. You understand that life often works behind the scenes before revealing visible results. One of the greatest benefits of trust is peace. When you trust the process, you stop carrying the burden of constant worry. You stop obsessing over timing. You stop demanding immediate answers. You allow yourself to live fully in the present rather than continuously monitoring the future. This peace creates clarity. You become more receptive to intuition. You notice opportunities more easily. You make decisions from confidence rather than fear. You remain emotionally balanced even when circumstances are uncertain. Trust also helps you release the need to control every detail. Many people believe they must know exactly how their desire will be fulfilled. They want every step explained in advance. Yet life rarely unfolds that way. Some of the greatest opportunities arrive unexpectedly. Some of the most meaningful blessings come through paths you never anticipated. Trust allows you to remain open to these possibilities. It allows life to surprise you. It allows solutions to emerge naturally. It allows events to unfold without the pressure of constant interference. So if you are in a season where results seem invisible, do not assume that nothing is happening. Do not mistake silence for inactivity. Do not mistake delay for failure. Remember the seed beneath the soil. Remember the roots growing in darkness. Remember that unseen development often precedes visible transformation. Keep your vision clear. Keep your faith strong. Keep your heart open and trust the process. Because not everything valuable can be measured by immediate evidence. Some of life's greatest miracles begin quietly, hidden from view, developing beneath the surface until the perfect moment arrives for them to appear. Trust the unseen process. Trust the invisible growth. And trust that what you have accepted within is already moving toward expression in ways you cannot yet fully see. One of the greatest misunderstandings people have about achieving their desires is the belief that they must chase what they want. They spend years pursuing success, love, wealth, recognition, and happiness as though these things exist somewhere outside themselves. They run after opportunities, force outcomes, and exhaust themselves trying to reach a future moment when they believe they will finally feel complete. Yet the harder they chase, the more distant fulfillment often seems. The reason is simple: chasing reinforces the feeling that what you want is separate from you. When you chase something, you mentally place it in the future. You tell yourself that it exists somewhere ahead of you, beyond your current reality. You create a gap between yourself and your desire. Every action, every thought, and every emotion becomes centered on reaching something that appears to be missing. This is why chasing can be so exhausting. It keeps your attention focused on lack. It keeps your mind occupied with waiting. It keeps your emotions dependent on future circumstances. The paradox is that many people spend years pursuing what they could begin embodying right now. Consider someone who desires confidence. They may believe confidence will arrive after they achieve success. Until then, they feel uncertain. They wait for circumstances to change before allowing themselves to experience confidence. Or consider someone seeking love. They may believe they can only feel loved once the perfect relationship appears. Until then, they carry loneliness and insecurity. Or perhaps someone wants financial abundance. They assume peace of mind will arrive after they earn more money. Until then, they remain worried and fearful. In each case, the person is chasing a condition while postponing the state of being associated with it. But what if the process worked differently? What if the key was not chasing the desire, but becoming the version of yourself who already experiences it? This shift changes everything. Becoming means embodying the qualities, emotions, and assumptions of the person you wish to be. Instead of waiting for life to change before you feel different, you begin feeling different before life changes. You stop identifying with the version of yourself who lacks and start identifying with the version who already possesses the qualities you seek. This does not mean pretending. It does not mean denying your current circumstances. It means choosing a new identity. Think about the difference between someone who feels worthy and someone who constantly doubts their worth. The circumstances around them may be similar, but their experience of life is dramatically different. One expects good things, the other expects disappointment. One sees possibilities, the other sees obstacles. The difference lies in their state of being. Your state influences how you think, how you feel, how you act, and what opportunities you notice. When you become the person you desire to be internally, your relationship with the external world begins to change. Imagine waking up each day as the version of yourself who already possesses the confidence, peace, abundance, or fulfillment you seek. How would you think? How would you speak? How would you carry yourself? How would you respond to challenges? These questions reveal the state you are being invited to embody. The goal is not to wait for external proof before adopting this state. The goal is to enter it now. When you become the person rather than chase the outcome, you release enormous pressure. You no longer need constant reassurance. You no longer feel trapped by timelines. You no longer measure your worth by immediate results. Instead, you begin living from a deeper certainty. You trust who you are becoming. You trust the state you have chosen. You trust that your inner transformation matters. One of the most powerful aspects of becoming is that it shifts your focus away from scarcity. Chasing says, I need this to be complete. Becoming says, I am already complete, and from this completeness I welcome greater experiences. This is a completely different way of living. It replaces desperation with confidence. It replaces fear with trust. It replaces striving with alignment. And from this alignment, life begins responding differently. Opportunities that once seemed invisible become noticeable. Decisions become clearer. Actions become more inspired. The future no longer feels like something you must force into existence. It becomes something you naturally grow into. So, if there is a dream in your heart today, stop asking how you can chase it more effectively. Instead, ask a more powerful question. Who would I be if this desire were already fulfilled? Then begin becoming that person. Think as they think, feel as they feel, carry yourself as they would carry themselves. Make fulfillment your identity rather than your destination. Because life often reflects what feels natural within you. And when fulfillment, confidence, gratitude, and abundance become natural states of being, you stop living as someone who is chasing a dream. You begin living as someone who is ready to receive it. That is the true secret. You do not receive by chasing, you receive by becoming. And the moment you become the person who already embodies the essence of the desire, you create the inner conditions through which receiving becomes natural. One of the most overlooked truths in personal transformation is that receiving requires a very different energy than striving. Most people have spent their entire lives learning how to work, push, chase, compete, and struggle. They have been taught that everything valuable must be earned through relentless effort. As a result, when they desire something deeply, their first instinct is to tighten their grip. They begin analyzing every detail, forcing every step, and worrying about every possible outcome. Yet there comes a point where effort must give way to allowing. There comes a point where the seed has already been planted, and the only thing left to do is trust its growth. There comes a point where receiving becomes more important than striving. Many people unknowingly block themselves from receiving because they remain in a constant state of tension. Even when they say they believe in their vision, they continue worrying. Even when they imagine success, they continue doubting. Even when opportunities begin appearing, they remain focused on what could go wrong. Their body may be moving forward, but their mind remains trapped in uncertainty. This creates an inner conflict. One part of them desires abundance, while another part continues rehearsing lack. One part expects success, while another part fears failure. One part wants peace, while another part clings to control. Receiving becomes difficult because they never truly allow themselves to enter the state of acceptance. Think about how different life feels when you are relaxed compared to when you are anxious. When you are anxious, your attention narrows. You become preoccupied with problems. You overlook possibilities. Your mind searches for threats. Everything feels urgent. But when you are relaxed, your awareness expands. You think more clearly. You notice opportunities. You respond with wisdom rather than fear. You become open to solutions that anxiety would have hidden from view. Relaxation is not weakness. Relaxation is openness. It is the willingness to trust that life can support you. It is the willingness to believe that not everything depends on your constant effort. It is the willingness to stop fighting and start allowing. One of the reasons people struggle with receiving is because they have become more comfortable with striving than with allowing. Struggle feels familiar. Effort feels productive. Constant activity creates the illusion of control. But receiving requires a different kind of confidence. It requires trusting that what you have accepted inwardly does not need endless supervision. It requires believing that progress can occur even when you are not obsessing over it. It requires understanding that some of the greatest transformations happen when you step aside and allow them to unfold. Imagine standing beside a river. If you try to force the water to move faster, your effort changes nothing. The river flows according to its nature. Your role is not to push the current. Your role is to trust its movement. Life often works the same way. There are moments for action, and there are moments for allowing. There are moments for planting, and there are moments for trusting growth. There are moments for intention, and there are moments for receiving. Many people never experience the fullness of receiving because they remain emotionally attached to control. They want guarantees. They want immediate proof. They want certainty about every detail. Yet this constant need for control creates tension, and tension makes receiving more difficult. Relaxation dissolves that tension. When you relax, you stop fighting the present moment. When you relax, you stop demanding that everything happen immediately. When you relax, you stop measuring your worth by external results. Instead, you settle into a deeper confidence. You trust the process. You trust your vision. You trust the unseen movement taking place. And most importantly, you trust yourself. This trust transforms your relationship with life. You begin moving through your days with greater peace. You become less reactive to temporary setbacks. You stop interpreting delays as failures. You stop seeing uncertainty as a threat. You remain grounded because your confidence is no longer dependent upon immediate evidence. And from this state, receiving becomes natural, not because you forced it, not because you manipulated circumstances, but because you created the inner conditions that welcome it. So if you have been carrying a dream, a goal, or a desire with tension, consider a different approach. Take a deep breath. Release the pressure. Release the timeline. Release the need to know exactly how everything will happen. Trust what you have already accepted within yourself. Trust that unseen progress may already be taking place. Trust that life can move in ways beyond your current understanding. Then relax. Not because you are giving up, not because you no longer care, but because you understand a profound truth. What is meant for you does not require endless struggle to arrive. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop forcing, stop worrying, and stop chasing. Sometimes the greatest miracle occurs when you finally relax and allow yourself to receive. Because receiving is not something you make happen. Receiving is something you become available for. And the moment you truly relax into that understanding, you open the door for the very thing you have imagined to enter your experience. As we come to the end of this message, remember this simple yet life-changing truth. You do not have to force what is meant to unfold. You do not have to struggle your way into every blessing. You do not have to spend your life chasing what can be received through inner alignment. For so long, many people have believed that effort alone creates results. They have carried their desires with tension, fear, and urgency. They have measured their progress by appearances and allowed circumstances to determine how they feel. But today we explored a different path. We learned that feeling is the foundation of receiving. We learned that constant striving often reinforces the belief that something is missing. We learned that fulfillment can be experienced before visible evidence appears. We learned to trust the unseen process and to become the version of ourselves who naturally receives. Most importantly, we discovered that receiving begins within. The outer world often reflects what has first become natural in consciousness. So stop asking when it will happen. Stop measuring every day for signs. Stop placing your happiness in the future. Instead, choose the feeling now. Choose gratitude now. Choose peace now. Choose confidence now. Choose fulfillment now. Let those feelings become familiar. Let them become natural. Let them become part of your identity. And then allow life to do what it does best. Allow it to surprise you. Allow it to organize circumstances. Allow it to open doors. Allow it to reveal opportunities that you cannot yet see. Because when you relax into the feeling of already having what you desire, you stop living as someone who is waiting. You begin living as someone who is receiving. And from that state, everything changes. So trust, relax, receive, and know that the reality you have imagined may already be closer than you think. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I hope this message has reminded you of something powerful. You do not need to spend your life chasing what you can learn to receive. The feeling you seek is available now. The peace you seek is available now. The fulfillment you seek is available now. And when you begin living from that state, you transform the way you experience every part of your life. If this message resonated with you, please take a moment to like this video. Subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who may need this encouragement today. Your support helps these messages reach more people who are ready to move from struggle to trust and from chasing to receiving. I would love to hear from you in the comments. What feeling are you choosing to relax into today? Remember, your power is not found in forcing outcomes. Your power is found in the state you choose to occupy. The more you embody gratitude, confidence, peace, and fulfillment, the more naturally life begins to reflect those qualities back to you. Thank you again for being here. May your heart be peaceful, your faith be strong, and your days be filled with unexpected blessings. Until next time, relax into the feeling, trust the process, and remember, what you have imagined may already be finding its way to you.